All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bryce Crawford podcast. I'm Bryce, and today's episode is fun. I'm so excited. You've never been on a pod? Have you been on a podcast before?
I did one.
But this is like, I feel like we're debuting right now.
Yeah, for sure. This is the first real one.
Let's go. The first real one. Well, today's guest, you guys already know, we got Chandler Hallow. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Hallow here. I'm super excited. We've been texting back and forth for a little while now, and it's cool.
Yeah.
We're finally getting to meet and get cheeseburgers later.
Yeah, we will.
Which will be good. But we're just going to dive into his testimony. It's going to be great. But before we get into it, guys, just want to let you guys know that the whole month of December, we're doing an episode a day. We're going to be breaking down the entire book of Luke so that by Christmas Eve, you'll have read the entire book of Luke. So if you guys go to jesusinthestreet.org/Luke, you guys can download the free Bible plan just so you guys can follow along and have something to track. But yeah, let's get into it.
That's cool.
Super simple. So, dude, so you told me you lived in North Carolina all your life.
Yeah.
And what's your relationship with Jesus been like? Like, start from when you were young. Like, did you grow up in church?
Yeah. Yeah, my mom and dad were in church. And we all would go to church from a young age. I was like, I grew up in the church, and then, I claimed to know Jesus and accepted it as my Lord and Savior, but when I'm young, like, I wasn't like on fire for God, I'm just like, that's all I thought you had to do, really, which
Right.
I don't know, I'm young and innocent, like, I don't know how to explain it, like,
Yeah.
am I explaining this right? Like,
No, I think you are, like, at least for me, it was just like a label kind of.
yeah,
But in my life, like, did you ever stop going to church when you were growing up? Because when I was growing up, we stopped going to church at one point. But was there ever a moment where you stopped going to church and you're like, oh, maybe that was the moment where I started straying away more? Or was it just everyone around here is a Christian, so I'm a Christian with my mouth? But
yeah, definitely, like, I had my mom's, like, and my dad's faith. Like, I didn't have that relationship with God that they did, I'm going to church because they do.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't fully understand it. And then it's really when I moved out of my house, my mom's house, that's when I started falling away from Christ.
And when was that?
Man, when was that?
Like, how old were you?
18.
So it was right out of high
I went
school.
to college, I forgot.
Where'd you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college at Chowan University to play baseball.
Okay.
For a year. And I was hurt the whole year, so I didn't even play. Like, my arm was trashed. Just from a young age. Like, just overuse and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I went there, was not living for God whatsoever. Was drinking, smoking, doing whatever I wanted. And then I went back here, home, and started working for Jimmy. And there's, like, maybe 7 of us at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, like, doing whatever they need to do. I'm hourly. I'm janitor, that's the title. And then I would just clean before and after video shoots and, like, buy supplies that we need. So that was kind of my role. And then, I was still just falling away from God, like, because I didn't have anyone to, like, I wasn't seeking God myself, and I didn't have anyone around me to, I guess, help me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So you went to college. Was high school kind of hard for you too, or not really, because you were still in the house and had, like, the structure from your family? Because you said that you had, like, your mom and dad's faith. So would you say high school was still kind of the same, just label Christian because my parents are Christian?
Yeah, I think so, but, like, definitely, like, I would pray, like, I would do all the things that a Christian does, but I didn't have that relationship. Like, I wasn't, like, a troubled person or anything. Like, I was definitely happy, like,
right,
in high school and all that. But no, high school was great. I had no issues or anything like that. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't start, like, smoking and drinking until I got out of high school.
Yeah.
On my own, like, alone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I feel like a lot of people are in the same position. Like, I feel like a lot of people think that everyone has this crazy story where it's like, oh, I was like for me, like I struggle with depression and anxiety, hated my life, and I feel like a lot of people think that that's the extremes, but it's just like, nope. I had a loving family. They were Christian. I grew up, great high school experience. Like, and I feel like that there's a lot of people that live like that, but they're just not vocal. And I feel like, dang, I feel like something on my heart is just like so many people believe that if they don't have some wild story to tell, that their testimony is not powerful.
Yeah.
But I think that there's more beauty and power in the fact that like people grew up around Christianity and then really come to know Jesus at some point in their life, because like I went to a private Christian school and everyone said that they were a Christian, but Christianity was like nonchalant for them. Like the Bible was boring. Prayer was boring for them. Worship was boring. And so I think there's so much power in people that grew up around Christianity that actually come to Christ, because now Christianity isn't like this boring thing anymore. It's like, it's real to people, versus like people that are believing in one extreme. They now meet Jesus and they're like, oh my gosh, he's real. He's true.
This is it.
Yeah. I think there's so much power in like just, because I think there's so many people in your position right now.
Oh yeah.
A lot of young people.
Sure. All the people I went to high school with, that we did the same things, had a great family, had a great life. Like some of my friends in high school went to a like Christian school, like in middle school or something. And then once you get out of like your parents like home, that's when like you really know like if you had that relationship with God or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what was the first year of college like? Like, how did you, I know you said you were like drinking and smoking, but how did you even get introduced to that? Because you said you didn't even do it until college. So what did that look like, and how from my perspective, like to someone that's never really did that stuff before, and then you go into that, like how did that sin entice you almost? Like I almost want to like look into like what that was like falling away before you met Jesus.
Definitely just getting approval from like people around me, you know, like that's the cool thing to do. Like, oh, you don't drink, you don't smoke, or like, hey, we're gonna go to this party. Parties involve drinking or smoking, stuff like that, you know.
Right.
But probably that, you know, just the approval of man was the ultimate thing I was looking for in that. I didn't think it was like enticing, you know, until I was, I guess, doing it. Yeah. And then I wanted to do it more and more.
Right. Dang. So it was initially just to like fit in.
Yeah, for sure.
Dang. So before, that's crazy. So before I became a Christian, there was like a 2-month period. I never really went to parties in high school, and I've never drank or done drugs. But there was a 2-month period for me where I was looking for friends, and I started hanging out with the people that did party. And I went to 2 parties back-to-back weekends in a row, and I was surrounded by alcohol. And I never did it, but I understand what you're saying, because in my position, I was like, I just want these guys to like me. And like, maybe if they like me, I'll feel better about myself. And then it just never worked. So do you think, so then do you think that you would, once you start doing those things, obviously I feel like we're able to recognize in our own personal walk that it wasn't working. Yeah. Like, do you think you recognized that it wasn't working and you continued to turn to those things because it was familiar? Like you didn't really know any other option, so you kept going back to those things? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the moment in, like when I'm doing it, like as you're speaking, you know, like I'm imagining it because I did it, you know?
Yeah.
Like when I'm living on my own, right? Because I'm out of college. I didn't go back. I'm working for the company, and I have enough money to live on my own. So I'm just living by myself. I can buy whatever I want. Like I'm buying drugs, I'm buying alcohol, and I'm smoking all day. Like I don't do anything but smoke and just chill in the house and then go to work. you know? And at night, you know, that's when the enemy will attack you when you're alone, like at night.
Yeah.
And just start saying things to you in your head, like, and I would just pray like all the time, like at night. But during the day, I'm living differently, right? I'm praying like God to like do something. Like I don't want to live like this, but I continue to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. You know, I keep praying at night, and then the next day I'll do the things that I don't want to do.
Dang.
Yeah, I know there's, what's that, the verse that says that exact thing? I don't.
Yeah, Paul writes in Romans.
But yeah, I was doing that for like 2 years out of college. Like once I dropped out, I was doing that for a good 2-3 years.
Do you remember anything? Because you said like the enemy would attack you and speak things over you. I remember when I was like trying to figure out life for myself before I had my encounter with Jesus. Every night there, I was just like being accused of things that I had done, even though I wasn't a Christian.
Yeah.
I was still having accusations thrown my way, and I was like drowning in shame and condemnation.
Of course.
Do you like remember anything that you felt like he was like, that Satan was like attacking you with personally when you were in those moments alone after college?
Yeah, definitely shame, like because of the way I grew up, and now I'm doing this. Like me not wanting to see my mom and dad.
Whoa.
Because of the way I am. I'm like, they're gonna like be like, oh my gosh, like what the heck is wrong with you, you know? Like
Right.
I would not go see my parents even though we live in the same town because I was so ashamed of what I was doing.
Dang.
You know? And I know it would just break my mom's heart to like see me like that, so I wouldn't go see them. But yeah, that was definitely part of it. And then just guilt of what I was doing, you know, just smoking, drinking, doing psychedelics, doing other drugs, you know.
Yeah.
You know, fornicating outside of marriage, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of it, you know.
Yeah. What was the turning point? So you were in college, and then you said that you were living on your own for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, it sounds like it was like a daily thing. It was.
Oh yeah.
I was doing this all day, and then at nighttime, I acknowledged my hopelessness, but then, went back to the same thing next day.
Mm-hmm.
What was the turning point? Like, what happened to intervene into your story?
Dude, it's really my family praying for me for sure. Like, if I didn't have people praying for me, I don't know, like, what I would have done. Because I had a radical encounter in my kitchen as I'm, like, just moping around. Like, I'm depressed. Like, I feel alone. I'm just by myself in my house. And I hear God, like, speak to me in my head. He goes, what are you doing? Like, clear as day. And I, like, froze, like, because I'm just walking around in a circle, like, around the island, the island in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, what are you doing? And I go, what am I doing? Like, I just freeze like that. And then I look at my hands, like I started looking at my body, like, what am I doing? Like, like, God just, like, peeled the scales off my eyes right then, like, boom.
Whoa.
And I was, like, just, like, shocked at myself, like, I gotta stop this now, you know? God just opened my eyes to what I was doing. And I just threw everything away right then and there. Like, I had 2, like, giant trash bags full of, like, paraphernalia.
Whoa.
That I just threw out.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was, like, the first, like, step, I guess, towards reconciling my relationship with God.
Dang.
Yeah.
And in that moment, whoa, that's crazy, because I feel like I think, dang, because so many people, I think, have that opportunity. I think there's a lot of people that have moments with God where they get real with themselves, whether it's an encounter, like God speaks to them, or maybe they're so hopeless they're sitting there and they're just going like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But they don't take the action step to do something about it. And so,
Yeah.
like, whether it's like, oh, maybe they're like drowning in drugs, they're like, what am I doing with my life? But then they go, oh, I'll throw the drugs away tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wake up and they see him on the counter and they're like, oh, maybe like one more time. But for you were just like, I'm throwing this away right now.
I mean, I've had that thought of, like, I'm just going to finish this and then not buy more.
Yeah.
But, like, that's, like, it never works, right? I don't know why. I just would never do it. But then, like, when, I don't know, God's just actually, like, stopped me in my tracks, like, walking, and said, what are you doing?
Yeah. Whoa.
And I was like, what am I doing? Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's even me with, like, when I'm struggling to read my Bible. I remember when I was in high school starting my faith journey, I would, like, wake up in the morning and I'd say, oh, I'd read my Bible later. Then I'd go to school, I'd get done with school, and then I'd be like, oh, well, I'll do it after I do homework.
Yeah.
And homework would get done. Well, I'm going to eat dinner, I'll do it. And then I was like, I'll do it before I go to sleep. And then just tomorrow never came for me. And then I remember, and then I like, I've watched some like motivational hype video where it's like, tomorrow never comes, do it today. And that kind of like changed it for me. Would you say that after that moment, so God stopped you in your tracks, you throw it in the trash. Was it like you quit everything cold turkey in that moment?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because I know myself, like, if I try to wean off of something, it's not going to happen. I got to just struggle. I got to just go through the struggle to get free of that. Like, because I was also, like, vaping, like, doing, like, nicotine and stuff. So I was vaping, smoking weed, drinking, doing other drugs as well.
Whoa.
And the nicotine was tough, bro. Like, you can't wean off that stuff. You just got to get rid of it, like, and then struggle for how long it takes for you to not want it anymore, you know?
Right.
In my opinion, like, but that's how I did it. I just quit, like, everything.
Yeah.
You know? And I knew I wouldn't get through it unless I just, like, relied on God.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's people around me that still do the things that I was doing.
Right.
I was like, I just got to, like, really rely on God to get me through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people are kind of in that circumstance, like, even happens with me sometimes. Like, if I say something and you say, oh, like, trust in God, rely on God. For you personally, when you were quitting those temptations, what did relying on God look like for you? Like, what did trusting in God look like for you when you threw all that stuff away, but the days to come, maybe one morning you wake up and the cravings for nicotine feel really strong?
Mm-hmm.
What did trusting in God look like for you to overcome that?
Reminding myself, like speaking life over myself, like, to myself, like, in a quiet voice. I would do that. I would be like, God, like, help me right now. Like I would go to him, like, you know, if I'm feeling tempted. I know this now, like, what I was doing, but I didn't know I was doing that. I was just like praying to God, like, God, I just need you to get rid of this craving, like, help me, like. And then I would go back to talking to whoever I was talking to, like,
Yeah.
like, you know, I would just do stuff like that, like. And that really helped, you know? Yeah.
I love that because I feel like people don't think prayer is like something that you can do in the moment. I feel like people are like, oh, man, I just got to wait till I'm alone. But you're like, I would be talking to someone and then just be like, God, please help me right now. This is hard.
Yeah.
And then going back to doing what you're doing. I think that's so powerful because people look at prayer as this like just you got to use fancy words. You got to approach God in Shakespearean language. And then, you know, maybe if you say enough fancy words, God will hear you quicker. And you're like, no, dude, he's like my best friend and pal going through it. So, okay, so another question for you. What was the reconciliation moment like for you and your family? I bet now in that moment when you're quitting that stuff, was it hard to still approach them because you had felt shame for the stuff that you had just quit? Or what did that look like getting to go see your parents for the first time in a long time? Did you tell them what you had been doing and what your change had happened? Like, what did that look like?
Well, I talked to my dad because he's like, he went through a lot of that stuff that I went through, like times 10 probably, you know, and he was just like, why'd you do that stuff? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed me grace, and like, he was just thankful that I wasn't doing that stuff anymore. He wasn't like, he was not making me feel guilty or shameful at all.
Yeah.
Because, you know, thankfully, you know, but the day that I had those trash bags, right, I text my brother, Zach, and I'm like, I sent him a picture. I'm like, bro, I'm throwing all this away. Like, I'm done. Like, just like, I was happy to share. Like, I was like thankful. Like,
yeah.
I was like, bro, look, like, you know?
Yeah.
And then he calls me. He was like, bro, I've been praying for you for months, like, crying out to God, like, that he would just do something. And I just, like, broke down. Like, I didn't know he was praying for me, you know?
Yeah.
And then my sister is praying for me. Like, they're praying for me all the time, crying, like, to God that he would do something in me.
Whoa.
And I, like, I was just so thankful, and, like, started crying. Like, I couldn't believe, like, they were praying for me, and they didn't tell me, like, you know?
Yeah.
It was just, I was just like, wow. Like, I'm forever grateful, you know?
Do you think that's why you have a big heart for intercession and prayer? Because when we were talking, like, before we started, you were like, yeah, I have a really big heart for this. Do you think it's because you saw the power of prayer in your own life from loved ones?
Yeah, definitely. I think prayer is very powerful, and I want to just learn more about it and have God use me to do that. And I think that I've always like prayed in tongues. Like I have the gift of praying in tongues. I think everyone does in Christ. But I for as long as I can remember, I was praying in tongues. I don't even remember the first time I did. Like even before I had like my falling out with God, like extreme falling out, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like even when I was younger, like I would just do it because like my mom and dad were like normalizing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like I've been doing it already without knowing it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like just praying for people, like intercessing through prayer for others. Yeah, I think I definitely have a heart for that. Or God's given me a heart for that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, that doesn't shock me. I mean, the Bible talks about the gifts being given without repentance. I mean, there's so many people out there today that like operate out of gifting than they do just intimacy with Jesus.
Yeah.
But just from our interactions, like getting ready and hanging just for a little bit, I can tell like Jesus is a lifestyle for you. And at least me personally, I've been really encouraged just from our quick moments now because I can feel him in you when we're hanging out and when we're talking. And even like, and it's just joy, you know, in the laughter and in the jokes. It's just all pure. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. God's made you so pure. So okay, so you had reconciliation with your family. What does it look like for you now in this time now? How long has it been since you had that moment? Or how long would you say you've been faithfully following Jesus now? Like
probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Over 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer. Because I got baptized again, or not again, but I got baptized for the first time over 2 years ago. Was it over 2 years ago?
Whoa.
Because he was there.
Let's go.
And me and my wife got baptized at the same time.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. And yeah, I really actually like this is the real deal, you know, like
yeah,
it's not fake. I have a relationship with Jesus, you know, like it's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. How has marriage changed your perspective and relationship with Jesus?
I just want to, for me, it's like, all right, God, I want to be like you, so that I can serve my wife and my family and lead them by being a servant, you know, like you were when you were here on this earth. So yeah, just like I've been praying for God to give me just like a servant's heart for my wife and my family and others. Really, that's like something I've been praying for.
Dang,
yeah,
that's so cool. Well, I don't normally take dating advice from anyone that isn't married. You're married.
Wow.
So I'll ask this for myself, but for other people, for like young people that are in relationships, what advice would you give them concerning dating and treating, whether it's a girl and like thinking about their boyfriend or dating. A guy like me thinking about their girlfriend? What would you tell them?
For men, because I mean I'm not a woman, so I don't really. I don't know how to speak on that. But I would just lock in with the Lord, like really lock in with God and just have a relationship with Him first, so that you can know how to love your partner correctly, how Jesus loves. Yeah. And not the definition of the worldly love that we're taught, you know, apart from Christ. That's a main thing. Ask God to teach you how to love others correctly like He does. And just know the word and the Bible talks about relationships. Like you need to love your partner how God loves the church, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's really what I go off of for me. So man, get right with God first, like really lock in with Him, and then the relationship will be easy. Yeah. God will help you find a partner that's suitable for you. Yeah. And you won't have to struggle to find someone that you click with, you know. It's because you're going to know. Right. Because you're so, like, the Holy Spirit's just going to reveal to you, like, nah, this ain't it. Or this is it right here, you know. Dang. Yeah, that's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's
No, I like that. I feel like that's just pure lock in with the Lord, because I find it, at least in my, this is not dating advice, by the way, because I never give out dating advice, because I don't take it from anyone that isn't married, so I just don't give it out myself. But I know in my relationship, the days that I don't read my Bible first or prioritize time with Him is when I'm like easily frustrated or quicker to speak or, things like that. And the days that I'm seeking Jesus, I'm like, man, I just am able to love my girlfriend the way that God sees her.
Mm-hmm.
And like, man, that's His daughter. And He's like, I feel like I had to ask God for permission to date my girlfriend. Because it was like, it's His daughter.
That's
and
awesome.
He's giving
I
me
didn't think
his
about
heart.
that before. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, that's not advice again. I gotta be clear. I just don't want to I'm just not a hypocrite. Like I don't want to dish out advice if I'm not taking it. But I just know that personally in my own faith journey, that's helped me a lot.
You're definitely right. I mean, be patient, man. You're gonna have to be more patient than you think. And then when you're more patient than you think, be even more patient. You can't be patient enough. I'll tell you that.
What do you think what is the lesson that God's been teaching you recently in your faith journey, or something that you've been learning that's on your heart?
Just be obedient quickly. Do
Yeah.
not wait. If I'm really like trying to figure out like, which I know in my spirit, but like my flesh is like so weak, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being obedient on time, like when God tells me to do something, like I like think too much. I'm like, was that God, or is that me making this up, or like, stuff like that. But I just gotta be obedient right whenever I hear it,
Dang.
That's what I'm trying to like really practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've been learning kind of something similar, because I've been bad at procrastination. And it's not that I'm not doing the thing that I'm doing. I'm just like putting it off.
Yeah.
And then I felt the Lord like speaking to me that delayed obedience is a disobedience.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like what can I do in my life? And I was kind of like in the same boat. I was like, I'm almost like overthinking it a little bit just to make sure it was God in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like trying to figure out, like, I just want to make sure that every decision I do is like it's from Him. I don't make anything out of my flesh. Yeah. So I've been kind of in the same boat. I feel like for me, I kind of came to this literally yesterday. I was like, maybe it's not so waiting to figure out it's His voice, but making the decision as if it's His voice. And if it was the wrong decision, He has grace for me. Yeah. Because He loves me. And I wasn't making the decision out of my opinion. It was like, oh, I'm consulting God. I think this is Him telling me to do it. And so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
I literally just learned that last night, actually, while I was driving to the hotel.
Cool.
Because I was like, that's so crazy, because I've been learning something super similar.
That's awesome.
That's
wild.
wild.
You just helped me, for real. So,
dang.
Yeah.
Well, you said help me. Hey, this is lit. Dang. Is there anything that's been heavy on your heart, like you wish you could, that you've been like, that's been burning on your heart that you want to say?
I do want to say that everybody's walk's going to look different. I did not transform overnight, I definitely did not. There's a process to this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a long time before I'm into this position now. God has really transformed me and changed me, And something I was struggling with is I was trying to abide by the law, like with some certain things, that I was like constantly doing, and I'm like, why can I not stop doing this, right? Yeah. And then I read Ezekiel, and it was like, I think Ezekiel 33, and it's God has given you a new spirit and a new heart, or a heart of flesh. Yeah. Ezekiel 36. That you can, 36, yeah. So that you can obey His commands and statutes, so you can keep His commands and statutes, something like that. Like getting a new heart and a new spirit causes you to do that. So like once I read that, like I just didn't do it anymore. Like it like freed me of trying to like do it myself. Yeah. I'm like, God's given me a new heart and a new spirit. and I don't have to try to not do that anymore because my spirit is renewed and my heart is new now. I just do it automatically because he gave me that, right?
Dang.
And that like freed me from the things I was trying to stop doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Whoa.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, that's lit. I feel like so many people have that mindset too. Like for me, like I was trying so hard not to do things.
Yeah.
And then I found myself doing them the most when I was trying hard not to do them. And then like there's a passage in Romans where like Paul actually kind of describes what you said, where he's like, yeah, in the Old Testament, he's basically like the law is over your head. Yeah. So you're aiming at it like a target because you had to follow 613 laws, 10 commandments to be righteous. If you mess up once, you better go sacrifice an animal. Yeah. And it's like you're aiming at it like a target. And that's what I was doing. And that's where the extreme shame and condemnation came for me, was I was trying so hard not to do it. And that because I was doing that, I was messing up more. And then like there was even more shame in my head. And then, but Paul's like, now because of Christ, the law is in your heart. So now it just manifests through your life because you love Jesus. Yeah. And I'm like, dang, that's so easy. That's so.
It was very freeing when I just,
so simple. Everything's so simple. And we like overcomplicate it for ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
But I wouldn't have read that if I wasn't, seeking the word. Like, if I would have just been like, because the thing is, I was going to stop reading. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop on this chapter. And then the guy was like, keep going. I'm like, all right, I'll stop on the next one. I'm like, nah, keep going. And then I got to Ezekiel 36, and I read that. And, man, I was like, thank you. Like,
dang.
Thank you so much for telling me to keep reading, because I wouldn't have seen that, without that.
Yeah.
And I was struggling for that for like a week, because I was like, why can't I stop doing this or doing that? Like, I'm trying so hard.
Right.
And God was just like, you don't have to try anymore. I've given you that new heart, new spirit.
Dang.
So that's something, God will transform you. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, some people, boom, they're radically changed overnight.
Right.
But for me, it was a process, for sure.
Dang, I think that is important to notice, because like the night that I had in Waffle House, I had an encounter with Jesus, and I asked God to take away my anxiety and depression. And he did in the moment, but breaking from other sin habits, it was like a process of like what you're saying of like, and I feel like that's where like people kind of like fall away, kind of, when they have this like radical encounter with Jesus, and then they expect everything to disappear. Yeah. But then the fact that they had that moment with Jesus and they're attempting to seek him is when Satan is like throwing more junk in their face.
Oh yeah.
Trying to get them to quit. I heard this story from a pastor where he was saying that he was in his prayer closet one morning and he was praying, and he had a vision where he got taken down into these like underground tunnels, and he was like there in this vision, and there was 4 tunnels, north, south, east, and west, and then all of these demons come through these tunnels into this center point. And then Satan appears right there. Yeah. And it was right after Jesus had resurrected from the dead. And the demons are talking to Satan. They're like, are you kidding me? You lied to us. Yeah. You told us that we had him. You told us that we got him. And now he resurrected from the dead. Now humankind's going to have freedom in Jesus because he just defeated you. Yeah. And they're like getting upset at Satan. And he says in this vision, Satan goes, he just makes them all silent. And he goes, the truth may be that people have freedom in Jesus, but we can blind people from not knowing that freedom. And so he was like, so make the different denominations angry at each other that they disagree, so that they don't come under unity, and that they disband and make people frustrated, and throw temptation here and do this, just these slight changes. Yeah. And he was looking at it and like, make the new believer extra tempted when they're coming, so that they think that Jesus isn't really real. Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking like, man, that's so true. Cause I felt like that moment, like, dude, when I became a Christian, I lost all my friends the second, and I went to a private Christian school. And I lost a majority of my friends, and it was hard because it made me want to leave, because it's like the world that's unifying people right now. Yeah. But then like I'm so grateful that I am, because right now, like, I feel like it's been amazing getting to hang with you so far. I know we're going to get to hang later, but like have a new friend, new brother, and it's like fun, and there's joy, and there's actually like freedom, and the fruit of friendship is just more joy and peace and accountability and like just like
Yeah.
and I think that's such a beautiful thing. I think that's so important. And that when I heard that story, it changed my perspective on anything. I was like, Satan knows the freedom that people have. So he's just trying to distract people from the fact that they don't have to live the way that they're living anymore. Like they don't have to be bound.
Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to me literally. And like, I was blind and then I could see myself, you know,
Dang.
in my kitchen.
Dang.
Like, I was blind for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I felt it, but I couldn't see it, you know?
Whoa.
Like, I felt like in my spirit, like I wasn't doing right, but I couldn't see myself
Yeah.
in my, I don't know, darkness.
Yeah.
If you could, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my last question before we close would be, I know you mentioned like when you were reading Ezekiel that the Lord was telling you like, no, keep going.
Yeah.
For someone that doesn't understand like what you mean when you say the Lord was like telling you, how like to the people watching or listening to this, how is God speaking to you personally saying like, hey, keep going? For me, it's like a thought in my brain. Like it's like a thought comes in my brain and I'm like, all right, like if I'm like if I'm walking down the street and I see someone, as I go pray for them, I have to remind myself like it's a thought. I would never selfishly want to go pray for someone, you know what I mean? So is it like a thought? Are you hearing something? Is it like just like a feeling you're getting in your spirit? What does that look like for you?
I guess for that example, when I was reading, it's like a gut feeling. Like,
Yeah.
don't stop reading. Like, just keep going, just a little bit. Keep going. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going, but like, I'm not feeling any different. Like, I'm not getting any revelation, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Until I got it, you know?
Yeah.
So, in that example, it was more of like a gut feeling and thought. But, I mean, when I'm praying, I'll get like visions, stuff like that. God will show me things in my head.
Yeah.
Or I'll get words, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm more like I get visions. I don't really get like a lot of words. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But some people hear God's voice audibly. I've never really heard it out loud like I'm speaking to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's just like everybody's different, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
God will speak to people differently.
Yeah.
But
Dang.
mainly it's definitely like thoughts and gut feelings, like to do something. Like my spirit is like pulling me towards doing this.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That's encouraging. Dang, dude, thanks for sharing your story on here.
Yeah, of course. Man.
This is
Thanks
lit.
for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Definitely have to have you on again. That'd
Yeah.
be so cool. Dang, well, guys, thanks for watching the episode. If you like the podcast and want to keep following along, follow us on everything, Bryce Crawford Podcasts. You guys love the merch, go get the merch at jesusinthestreet.com.
Go get it.
He's repping it.
Yeah,
And
I got all the shirts.
Come on now. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.